Hey guys, what's up? In this particular lesson, I'll be talking about chapter 9 of class 6 science NCRT. This is the part 4 which we are dealing. This is presented by me, Roman Seni. And if you feel like these courses are helping in any way, you can just click on the contribute button and leave a voluntary fee. It will help us in bringing more and more awesome courses. And you can also follow me on an academy on unacademy.in/user/Roman Seni, and you can watch all the lessons made by me over there. Like I always say, when we are dealing with NCRT or when we are dealing with science and tech in general, you will not be able to remember most of the stuff. Just focus on keywords and summary, and that is how you will be able to do good answers, correct answers in prelims as well as mains. So let's start with living organisms. What do you mean by living? So there is a criteria of living. So we will be discussing that at the end of this lesson, and their surroundings. Surroundings means habitat. Okay. So organisms lives in habitat. Habitat means their niche, their surroundings, their environment, and they're adapted to it. Now, what is adaptation? Adaptation is basically specific features or habits or characteristics or practices which improves or increases the chance of survival, improves the odds of survival, improves the probability of survival of an organism in its surroundings. Surroundings here again means environment. Some of them are innate, some of them are acquired. Innate is present in case like which is present since birth. Acquired, for example, in human beings, you learn not to run in front of the car, not to cross the road, otherwise you might die. So that is like an acquired adaptation. And usually innate adaptation takes hundred to thousands of years before it will manifest itself. Now surroundings can be example saline. Saline means halophytes. Okay, those plants who survive there, halo. Desert means zero, xero. Ocean obviously like hydrophytes, land organisms, forests, they are all the type of surroundings. Now when it comes to desert, so there are special adaptation which is needed to survive in desert. For example, camel have long legs. Since it has long legs, so sand is very heated, right? So the heat from the sand will not affect camels because the long leg keeps its body away. It does not sweat at all, like unlike most of the mammals sweat, but camel do not sweat, so it prevents loss of water from there. It presents highly concentrated urine because it goes beyond urea secretion, and the urine is almost semi-solid in characteristics. The dung is extremely dry, there is hardly any water. Those of you from Rajasthan must have seen those balls. And snakes are also adapted because they dig deep burrows which is away from the heated sand. Now when it comes to cactus, the leaves are absolutely modified into spines. Okay, so these spines will reduce the transpiration loss because there is no leaves, so there is no transpiration. And instead of leaves, stem takes care of the photosynthesis, generation of food through thick waxy. Why it is waxy? Again, to prevent transpiration, and the stem becomes green for photosynthesis. It has deep roots which are meters and meters deep, and they dig down and take out the water. Now ocean, the bodies are always streamlined. Streamlined meaning that they flow parallel to the current and the resistance is almost negligible. They have gills instead of lungs for breathing purposes. They have oil. Just put your fingers when you are inside a swimming pool, the skin becomes so soft that you can easily peel it out, right? So that is why you need to have oil around your skin, otherwise you will not survive. You need to have slippery fins so that you can like swim very easily. The fins need to be flat and you need to have tail for the direction. Flat fins again help to reduce the resistance because of water currents. The obviously the all the organisms need oxygen to survive except a few, so they will use the dissolved oxygen in the sea. Now squids and octopus, although they are not streamlined, but when they are swimming they make streamline. Okay, so that is why their resistance is decreased and that is why they are able to survive and move. Now dolphins and whales are mammals, they are not fishes, so they will not have gills because they are mammals and they are very intelligent creature. They have noses just like we have, nostrils or blowholes on upper part of their head or snout, and when they go near surface to breathe from time to time, you must have seen those awesome scenes in Discovery where whales come out and they throw away a stream of water, right? So that is breathing, otherwise they will die if they are not able to reach to the surface. In lakes, roots are there, but they are not, their function is not to absorb water because water is everywhere, right? So they are just to hold it in place so that it does not get uprooted. Stems are long, hollow, light. They grow till the surface, and leaves and flowers float on the surface of the water. You must have seen those. And totally submerged plants include like narrow and thin ribbon like leaves. Why? Again, so that water can flow through them, or they are highly divided leaves, again, so to decrease the resistance and strong current will pass. Otherwise, if you like stay there just like that, you will be uprooted. Frogs have strong legs so that they can jump, and webbed feet so they can swim. Now, seed sprouting is a process called germination, and everybody knows that. Now, habitat is surrounding or the niche area where organisms live. It can be terrestrial or aquatic. Terrestrial means land, aquatic means water. It has components like biotic and abiotic components. Biotic means living like plants and animals. Abiotic means non-living components like air, light, temperature, soil. It can be like high mountains, including cold, windy, snowfall. Now there are like tree. How are they on high mountains? They have cone-shaped leaves. They have needle-like leaves. So when the snowfall occurs, so the branches are such that the snow never stays on the leaves or the branches. Otherwise, the plant will die. So rainwater, snow will slide out. In animals also, the skin is thick. The fur have long hairs. They have strong hooves also. So for example, mountain goats, they climb on rocks, etc. Now in grasslands, predators are like lion. Okay, they have light brown color so that they can camouflage along with the grasses. They withdraw their claws and toes so that they can move silently. Eyes are placed in front so they have the exact location of prey, so they can know where the prey is. But when it comes to prey, they have to be fast and light because there are no trees, and they need to travel a long distance so that they can be invisible. They have strong teeth for chewing on stems of grasses. The eyes are placed on side to give them a very broad vision so that they can see predator coming from all the directions. They have long ears to hear the movement of the predator. Now, what is the criteria of being alive? First is the food or the source of energy. You need to have input in forms of like food, okay, so that you can survive. Then second is growth. You need to be like born, then you need to become adolescent, then adult, then mature adult, then senescence, and finally you need to die. So that is again growth is essential part. Now third is respiration. Respiration, do not confuse it with breathing. Physiological respiration is breathing, that is taking in air and giving out air, while cellular respiration is combining oxygen along with carbon dioxide to give glucose plus ATP. Okay, that is photosynthesis. But when you combine this glucose which is produced from photosynthesis and results in the production of ATP, that is called as respiration. So oxidation of glucose which results in the production of ATP, it is called as respiration. So in earthworm it takes through skin, fish it takes through gills, plants stomata is the like small pores on the leaves which helps in exchange of gases, which happens in night time usually. Oxygen is consumed during respiration always, but it is much less than the oxygen which is released during photosynthesis by plants. That is why we ask everyone to plant these plants. Now, what is the response to environmental changes? So it can be a reflex. For example, if I pour hot water on it, your head, you will remove it. And it can be a conscious response. So whatever I am teaching you right now, you are consciously assimilating it. There are plants like Mimosa pudica, which is touch me not. So if you touch it, like it will just collapse. And sunflower respond to sunlight. Like animals also run away on flashing light, cockroach hide if light is flashed, etc. So they are response to environmental stimulus. Now again, excretion is removal of waste products which is generated in metabolic reaction. It can be removed through sweat, feces, urine, skin secretion, respiration. Plants secretes in form of resins, latex, gum, or store in secluded part. You must have seen. Now reproduction is again the criteria, that is you have to able to procreate and lead to production of new offsprings, okay, from parents. For example, eggs, seeds, cuttings, live births, etc. Now plants move over and under the ground, so they are also living beings, while animals move from one place to another. Also with the help of xylem, they transfer water, and with the help of phloem, they transfer food and minerals. Now there are certain exceptions which do not fly. For example, virus lives at the edge of life, neither living nor dead living. Euglena lives at the edge of plants and animals because it has both feature. Archaea is basically extremophile, they survive everywhere, they are neither bacteria nor eukaryotes, while sulfur bacteria oxidizes sulfur and oxygen will kill them instantly. So in summary, living beings need food, respire, respond to stimulus, reproduce, show movements, grow and die. Certain non-living things may show some of them, but living beings show almost all of them. So I hope it is clear now, and thank you for watching this lesson. Have an awesome day. Hey guys, what's up? So, in this particular lesson, I'll be talking about chapter number 10, which is dealing with motions, displacement, modes of transport, etc. The information given in NCERT, you might find one or question here and there in the preliminary examination. Also, it will help you a lot in the mains examination, that goes without saying, and specifically in your essay writing. So, this is presented by me, Roman Saini, and if you feel that these courses are helping in any way, you can click on the contribute button, and like the contribution will go towards like getting more and more educators and more courses. And you can also follow me on Unacademy, that is unacademy.in/user/Roman Saini. So chapter 10 deals with motions and measurements of distances. So first we will deal with the motions part, and later on we will go to the measurement of distances. So boats are basically simple log of woods which have cavity inside, and they are modified to resemble shape of an aquatic animal. So basically they have a streamlined body, and this is streamlining, like they can travel a large distance, and this is like more or less pre-industrial era time I'm talking about. Till 19th century, early 19th century, we largely dependent on animal power, which are called as beast of burden for the obvious reasons. Then we invented the steam engine, and in 18th century it was invented by Newcomen, who was a guy who was like brilliant scientist. Because of him, like colonialism spread like wildfire. Steam engine was one of the most important reason for colonialism and increase in the trade and commerce, because large ships can go, and engines even your trains can go, and like lot of commerce could happen, right? Then improved upon by Watts. So people think Watts discovered it, but the answer is Newcomen. But it got popular only in the 19th century. And as you know that railways became very commonplace in 19th century. It means that railways were everywhere, but India, unfortunately or fortunately, was one of the first country in the world to have railways. Now people think that the Britishers were benevolent and introduced railways so that Indians can travel to their villages, to their grandmummy, and visit their summer holidays there. But the main reason is that railways were introduced for improving the trade from hinterland till the coast, and from coast till the Britain. That is why the railways were there. They were for commercial reasons, not for passenger reasons. In 1910s, you must be knowing there was World War One. In that, lot of bombing happened, lot of troops were transported using aeroplane. So that also played an important role. And obviously, commercial flights also started in the beginning of 20th century itself. Now in 20th century, you have electric trains, monorail, metros, supersonic aeroplanes, spacecraft going towards Mars. Some of them crossed even your entire solar system, satellites which provide you all the details which you need in your life, etc. In 21st century, now people are talking about vacuum tubes, traveling to long distances at a very rapid speed of 2000 km/h and whatnot. Now, what is the major difference between distance and displacement? Let's say this is point A and let's say this is point B. So if you go like this, then it is displacement. But if you go like this, then again distance is huge, but the displacement again remains the same. So the minimum distance which is obtained between 2 points by drawing a straight line, it is called displacement, while the distance is the actual distance traveled by an individual. Distance is always more or equal to displacement. Now measurement of length is extremely important. Like in our villages, somebody call it bigha, somebody call it latha, somebody call it killa. Every length varies, every area length varies, right? The unit varies. But you need to have a gold standard. So 1 foot in America should also be equal to 1 foot in England, 1 foot in moon, 1 foot in Jupiter, 1 foot in India, etc. So you need to have fixed basic unit of measurement, which is the standard unit of measurement. Cool. So result of measurement is basically unit plus number. So this is what it is important. Unit is like meter, etc. Number is like 10 meters, 5 meters. So in 1790, French introduced a standard which is called as metric system. It is also called as Systema Internationale. This is international system, or SI units you might be knowing. So SI, base unit and physical quantity. For example, length, it is not foot, it is not centimeter, it is not kilometer, but it is meter. Similarly, for time, it is second. Everybody knows. Electric current, it is ampere. So for time, is SI unit is not minutes or hours, it is second. Temperature, it is Kelvin and not degree Celsius or Fahrenheit. Luminous intensity means how bright the bulb is going, how bright the light is. It is measured in candela, and the amount of substance is measured in terms of mole. So you have to remember, just mug up all these 7. Sometimes question will ask 100% in prelims, which of the following is not an SI unit, match the following, stuff like that. But mass is not gram, it is kilogram. This has to be remembered, okay? Just remember, in India, how do you measure weight? In kilograms. Now this is again important for people to understand, like how the storage devices work. So sometimes they might ask, arrange the following storage devices in order of their storage strength or whatever. So floppy, while I was like 7-8 year old, I saw floppy drives sold in Mansarovar, Jaipur, and they had 140-150 kilobytes of space. You could hardly do anything with it, but people were still happy. Then came CDs of 650 MB, 700 MB, and pen drives of 512 MB. So they have the data in MBs, sorry for the mistake. Then you had DVDs of 4 GBs, where people used to illegally sell movies. Then you had pen drives of 2 GB, 4 GB, 8 GB, 16 GB. So this is basically in gigabytes. Then you had hard disks which had terabytes of space. And finally you have like huge servers of Facebook, Google, which are in petabytes and even more exabytes. So this is 10 to the power 3, this is 10 to the power 6, this is 10 to the power 9, this is 10 to the power 12, this is 10 to the power 15. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. This is also called as mega or million. This is also called as giga or billion. The billionaire is 10 to the power $9, and this is tera or trillion. Cool. So if you just see here, so deca means 10 to the power 1, that is 10. Hecto means 10 to the power 2. Kilo is 10 to the power 3, mega or million is 10 to the power 6, 9, 8, 9, 12, 15. 15 is peta. Exa is, you don't need to remember exa, zeta, iota, it's just for your own. The 15, 18, 21. Now deci is 0.1, centi is 0.01, that is 10 to the power minus 2. Micro is 10 to the power minus 6. Micron, you might be hearing. Milli is, sorry, it should be here, 10 to the power minus 3. Nano is 10 to the power minus 9. So it is deci, centi, milli, micro. You must have heard centimeter, millimeter, micrometer, nanometer. Picometer is 10 to the power minus 12. Femto is very, very small. Femto is like at atomic level, 10 to the power minus 15. And atto, zapto, yocto, you will not hear in your life that something is attometer or yoctometer. So up to femto till exa you should remember. Sometime they might ask. Now let's discuss these 4 concepts. What is straight line or rectilinear motion? So if I go from this point to this point, it is called as straight line motion. Okay. Now let's assume this is the center. Okay. So if I move around this like this, then it is called as circular motion. But my distance from the center is always same. So distance from a fixed point remains the same. Example is fan. This is called as circular or rotational motion. Now let's talk about periodic motion. Periodic motion is with the help of a pendulum like this. Okay, so like you know that this keeps on going like this. So the distance from a fixed point, it always comes back to that point. So it will repeat itself after some time. So this is a periodic motion. Now finally you have a rolling motion. So if a ball rolls like this, so it will have a circular motion, right? But it will also go forward like this. So a point on a ball will undergo a circular motion like this, but it will also see a straight line or rectilinear displacement. So that is called as a rolling motion, where you combine straight line motion, which is a rectilinear motion, along with a rotation motion, because you are rotating around the center. Example, a rolling ball, or a rolling stone. So just mark a point on a ball and you will see it going around and around. So this is all about this. Thank you for watching this lesson. Have an awesome day. Hey guys, what's up? So this is the 6th part in the class 6 science NCERT, and here we'll be dealing with chapter 11 and 12. This is presented by me, Dr. Roman Seni, and if you feel that these courses are helping in any way, you can just click on the contribute button and you can leave whatever voluntary donation you want. This contribution will help us in bringing more and more awesome lessons on the platform by more and more awesome educators. You can also follow me on Unacademy, that is unacademy.in/user/Roman Seni. Now let's start with chapter 11, light, shadows and reflections. So this is a typical chapter of physics. So many of you who don't have science background might have some problems. I'll be going very slowly. Luminous means any object which has a light of its own. For example, star is a luminous object, but earth is not a luminous object. Okay. So objects emitting their own light. You must have seen Jugnu in your villages. There are certain fishes which have light on their head, which lives deep in the ocean. So these objects, they emit of their own light. Okay, so like example, stars, all the stars. So light will fall on an object first and then it will travel to our eyes. Okay, so let's assume if you close all the lights and there is pitch darkness, you will not be able to see even your own hand. This is because your hand is not a luminous object. But if there is a jugnu in the room, you will be able to see it. You will always be able to see sun if it is in the sky. So whenever you want to differentiate whether an object is luminous or not, you can just shut off the external light sources. So if it is visible, it is luminescent. On the basis of visibility, obviously, and the basis of passage of light, the objects can be of three type. If it is transparent, it means the light passes through it absolutely perfectly. For example, a clean glass window is transparent. Okay, so this is purely visible through and through. Opaque means you can't see anything at all. For example, you can't see anything across your hand, right? So it is an opaque object. Translucent, for example, take a paper and rub oil in it, so you will be able to see through it a bit. A plastic, some of the plastics you can not see very clearly, but somewhat you can make out what is there on the other end. So they are translucent. Now what is shadow? Whenever you light something, an opaque object casts a shadow opposite a screen if it is there close screen in the recent background, not after 1 kilometer. Like depends on scale to scale. For example, moon's shadow on earth is an eclipse, right? So it depends on the scale. So there has to be a luminous object at one end, then there needs to be an object at the other end, and then there needs to be a screen behind that. Okay, so that is how shadows are cast. So it gives you an idea about the shape of an object. So it may mislead also. For example, when light goes, people make all these funny shapes with their hands of dogs and foxes and deers and whatnot. And goes without saying that light always travels in a straight line. Now what is a pinhole camera? Pinhole camera is basically a light proof box. It does not have any lens. It is a box within a box, and it has a single small aperture which is called as pinhole, and when light passes through this point, it produces an inverted image on opposite wall of the box. For example, this is a pinhole camera. Okay, so this is an object and this is a small pinhole here, but it needs to be covered by a black cloth, otherwise this image will not be visible. And as you can see on the opposite side of it, you can see the inverted image. It is not the correct image, it is an inverted image. So this was pinhole camera. A natural pinhole is, let's say, in between tree leaves, if there are small spaces, you might actually see an inverted image of the object, okay, at some distance. So that is a natural pinhole. Now light can be reflected, it can be refracted, it can be totally internally reflected. Okay, reflection means when there is a denser medium and there is rarer medium, the light changes its direction, but it's not like, it is technically a wave front. It's not like light per se, it's a wave front. And between two different media, as I was speaking, for example, water and air, diamond and air, anything, and it's returned in media of origin. So this is reflection. Okay, so but if it does not, what is total internal reflection? Basically, let's say if the light is reflected like this, it usually goes like that. But if the angle of incidence is more than critical angle, it comes back into the same medium. It is called as total internal reflection. Okay, so this happens, this is responsible for sparkling of diamond, this is responsible for rainbow formation, this is responsible for mirage in the desert. And mirrors, lakes, ponds, they are all reflecting surfaces. As you might have seen, light in your eyes, it might like hurt your eyes also sometimes. Now what is periscope? Periscope is an instrument which was used earlier in submarines, pundubis, and instruments which make observation of an object possible, which is not in your line of sight. For example, otherwise you will not be able to see it from your current position. Either you need to change your position or you can simply use periscope. So I'll show you the periscope now. So this is what is periscope. So here you are, assume this is water here, okay, and above water there is an object. You want to see enemy ship, so you can just see here, this is one glass here, then this another glass here. So light is reflected from here till here till here. So that is how periscope works. Cool. Now chapter number 12, it deals with electricity and circuits. There is not much to explain in this, except that electricity is not out of this world. It is just a physical phenomena, and this phenomena is responsible for lightning. You must have heard a lot of time. Static electricity, which you use in every day in your house, electromagnetic induction, okay, and electrical current. Now it is a physical phenomenon, means there is some physical thing involved. What is that physical thing? That is electric charge. So presence and flow of electric charge is electricity basically. Now carelessness with electricity can cause injury, it can lead to death also, because our body is a perfect conductor. Cool. So whenever you are like going near electrical objects, please be cautious and wear rubber soles so that you can decrease the impact of the current. Now what is an electric cell? Electric cell, you must have seen these cells in the basically in your childhood. There is a metal cap which is positive, metal disc which is negative. There are certain chemicals, I will not go into detail, which store electricity, zinc, etc. And once started, it goes on to depleting forever and ever till it is completely depleted. However, if you attach the two ends with a wire, it will deplete within 1 or 2 days, very very fast. And even if you do not use your cell, don't be confused, just use it, because it will not stay with you. Even if it is not in use, it will go away. And first cell, like voltaic cell, you must have heard. So Alessandro Volta, he discovered the first cell. Now as I was spoken already, joining these two ends without a switch or device, which means in direct connection, leads to consumption of chemicals very fast. Now let's talk about electrical bulb. Electric bulb in part was discovered by Thomas Alva Edison. It is basically a thin wire and bulb that gives light. Okay, this is called as filament. Now filament has to endure huge temperature. So the only material which is capable of that is tungsten, which is the in pure form it is the highest melting point on this earth. W is the chemical name of tungsten in the periodic table. Break of tungsten leads to bulb being fused. And now bulb also has two terminals, base plus metal tip of base. So they are always fixed, so they don't touch each other. Okay, and as I have already spoken, this was discovered by Thomas Alva Edison. Now filament of the bulb is connected to the two terminals, that's why it will glow, and whenever you press the switch, this terminal becomes complete and bulb will glow when electric current will pass through it. Now material that allow current to pass through them are called as good conductors or conductors, for example silver, copper, iron, human body. Then switches, electrical plugs, sockets, all of these have to be good conductors, otherwise electricity will not pass, right? Now there are certain objects which will not allow current to pass, which have high resistivity. So for example insulators like air, plastic, rubber. So for example, if there is a current outside, it will not hit you because there is air between you and it, so it will never conduct. Then ceramic, polyethylene, paper, mineral oil, all these are bad conductors or insulators because they have high resistivity. Now touchable or exposed parts are always covered by insulators of electrical wires, plug tops, switches, otherwise you will die, right? So you'll always find a covering over the live wire. Now switch is basically a device. We don't want the circuit to be open all the time, so we can end it. If we want the fan to work, we can start it. It is a simple device to break or complete the electric circuit. Now what is a closed electric circuit? Closed electric circuit is when electric current passes from one terminal to another, and direction of current in this case is always from positive to negative terminal. Now people will ask why rubber gloves are used by electricians, screwdrivers, testers also have plastic covering. Why is that? Because rubber is a bad conductor of electricity and the chances of person who is handling electricity getting current is very high. So we use rubber. So that's all about this lesson, and thank you for watching this lesson. We will continue with have an awesome day.